Time to round up another big headline of the week now. Two women made military history as they became the Army's first female Rangers. These developments at the Ranger School are part of the military's assessment of plans to integrate women into roles traditionally reserved for men only. But the idea of training women for combat makes some critics uneasy. Some say women on average suffer injuries at rates double those of men. So should women be allowed in combat? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. We've got all of the topics we're talking about this morning listed for you there. And on Twitter, use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us in our newsroom is our roundup panel led by our senior legal analyst, Chris Tridico. We have our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. Good morning again, guys.
Good morning.
So the Army's Chief of Staff must recommend soon what roles women would be allowed to serve in.
Well, it's interesting that they let, and in this class that started out with, I think 10 or 15 or 20 women, and these Army Ranger classes, you lose about a third of those people, everyone, in the first 3 days. It's such a difficult thing. These two made it through, and they are now some of the most highly trained fighters in the world and the elite of the United States military, yet the Army still bars them from going into combat. So we're going to make you the most highly trained fighter in the world and then ask you if you can take notes at the meeting. I don't understand that, and I think it's time for the United States to take a look at that. I'm proud that they allowed these women to do this and allowed women into this. The Navy is now going to allow women in the Navy SEAL program. But Mustafa, what's the point in this is the most rigorous training you will ever have, and yet then you can't go in and do what you were trained to do? What's the point?
Well, I don't think there is a point if that's the case, but it looks like that they're headed in a direction to allow women to participate in combat. In 2013 was the first time women were allowed in combat. 15% of our military is women. And
well, they weren't allowed in combat, they were forced in, I think. I don't think that
well, the military changed its rule in 2013. Well, I think one part to kind of talk about it, I think is valuable, is that if you don't serve in combat, there's certain leadership positions that you cannot take part in, that you can't get promoted if you're not had combat experience. So you're barring a part of the military not to reach its highest potential because the way the rules were set. And this is a beginning, I think, of starting to change that. And I think it's an important thing, and not just for the military, but it demonstrates that there should be equal pay for women everywhere.
There's other countries, Israel, that I can think of off the top of my head, that have had women in combat for years. Hadn't even thought about it. What is the issue here, and is this the right move for the military?
I was in combat twice when I gave birth. I mean, I don't understand the problem. No, kudos to these two women. Kudos to the Army for letting them get this far. Ash Carter, who is the person in charge of the Army, he said he is in favor of letting women get into combat. I think that trend is coming. This is a very serious step towards that. They did not lower the standards for these two women. They excelled over some of the men in the class. I think they have set the standard and shown that women can do what the men do in this training and leadership class. And think about it, in combat we want the best, the ones with the best leadership skills and the best agility, and these women have shown that women can be just as good as the men. So I think that step is coming.
All right, let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, we're going to head on over to our Twitter feed now and see what some of our viewers are talking about. This person says the women who made it through Army Ranger School should be able to serve as Rangers. They've earned that right. Jackie says men should be happy women graduated from Ranger School this week. It paves the way for their daughters to be Rangers. This person, Tom, I believe his name is, says, I really don't think women should be Army Rangers or anywhere on the front lines, not because they can't, but there are many different reasons.
Well, I'd like to know what they are.
He didn't indicate what the reasons are, but he says there are many different reasons.
Other than discrimination, I can't think of any other reasons. The advancement of women, and you pointed out that you can't, there's leadership roles you can't take in the military if you haven't been in combat. And so this suppressing women out of these roles prevents them from taking in the top leadership roles in the military.
Yeah, and look, we should expand that conversation to the workplace. There are a lot of jobs that women aren't allowed to participate in, and then later on it said, well, they didn't have these type of experience in order to move them up. So if we want equality and if we want equal pay, then the military, which is one of the largest employers in our country, is paving the way, and we should look for that, and we should support all legislation, whether state level or federal level, for equal pay for women.
Is the military paving the way? Because I think the military's been last to come in line with changing trends in the country all the way. Gays in the military, combat roles for women, all of these things, the military comes in kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I didn't say that they were the leader in this trend, but I do think the fact that these two women did go through the class. Again, the standards and policies were not changed for them. They said, I can do anything the men in this class can do, and they did it better than some of the men. And Ash Carter has gone on record to say he is now seriously looking at changing the policy to let women go into combat. That is a sign that things are changing. I think they see the trend in other areas, and socially we are growing as a country. And so I think the military is now getting the message that it's time for them to make changes for women as well.
Stop.
Well, look, military might be lagging behind, but it's the United States Congress that's actually stuck. The legislation for equal pay has been around for a long time. They're not the ones that are moving. So yes, military took its time, but the United States Congress stuck in the mud.
And
Well,
hopefully the president will listen to that, because women in his office don't make anything compared to
You know,
men. So
Sally, I was going to join the Ranger School, but they said I had to run 15 miles, and they wouldn't give me a week to do it, so I didn't. I
And you can
dropped
only
out.
have one meal a day, I think.
One meal
Oh
a
my
day,
gosh.
So that would definitely
and you
cut
have to
you out of
run,
it, Chris.
run and exercise.
oh my
Yes.
goodness.
This is not
Exactly.
Ranger material.
Well,